my bathrobe and I don't care. In my bathrobe and I don't care. In my bathrobe and I don't care. I'm still stuck on Trumpgate. Notice how now we have, what is it? Spamylton? No, Hamilton. Hamilton Gate. When we should have had Trumpgate. Oh, the trolls are everywhere. I've been getting a lot of interesting scam phone calls from New York all of a sudden. That's fascinating. Just got another one from New Jersey. So, the whole Spamylton thing. I would like to very much recommend that all my viewers, if you haven't already, go check out Keith Olbermann's recent post. Because he covered everything I wanted to talk about in the last video. To the letter of every thought I was having on it. To the best wording of every thought. And yeah, it does seem that while we should have been talking about Donald Trump's immediate pattern abuse of executive power, talking about Spamylton. But you see, just like I've been saying about the KGB tactic of accuse exactly what you were guilty of. The internet troll conspiracy is the one that really needs to be dealt with. Okay. Because these people are basically spamming. I mean, it's not just a matter of lies coming out. It's a matter of people spamming you with bullshit until you're just covered in it and you have to have bullshit windshield wipers installed on your fucking forehead, and that's painful because they got a drill. And okay, I'm just gonna stop it. Then you got to mount the battery pack. That's just gonna be uncomfortable. Bullshit wipers. That's really what you need if you want to keep the trolls around. Okay. And you see, what's interesting is that the trolls all come from this area between Moscow and St. Petersburg. Okay, it's basically like kind of a never-ending Houstonish but colder countryside. And you see, spammers also helped another candidate. I don't know if people really realize it. Sorry, I was shaking my leg there. Shaking bacon. Spammers also helped Bernie Sanders perpetuate his little victories here and there. And still perpetuate lies about that campaign. In an effort to solidify Trump's victory, by the way, by discrediting Hillary Clinton, by discrediting the establishment, the process as a whole. Okay? But what's interesting about Bernie Sanders to begin with is the reason why Russian trolls and their kind would be spamming you on his behalf. Okay? It's because he loves Russia. When he was mayor of what was a little town in Maine, I think it was, he had what's called a mayor's alliance with a town in Russia, in this area where a lot of the troll type little sweatshops, the little call centers, okay, between Moscow and St. Petersburg. And there were political schools of thought on how to deceive Americans, both in Moscow and St. Petersburg. And this area where he was was more along the lines of the St. Petersburg School of Thought, which is the working class, a rage against the elites by the numbers and the percentages type of thing, that kind of thing. Okay, my wife just texted me, and apparently I've been missing some text messages, so I need to figure out what that's about. Um, okay, so Bernie in 1998, Shaka, when the walls fell, in 1990, 88, 88, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, scared the shit out of 6. Um, Bernie went to this little area, okay, and then he kind of seemed to have this rhetorical relationship with the very same school of thought that was then used to further brainwash along the socialist agenda the Americans. And basically what they did was they took the communists out of Russia and just moved them here. Okay, they moved them into Europe. All right. And Bernie Sanders was a part of that. He was an enabler of that. And he would basically, while acknowledging that this little town that he was, in an alliance with had worse conditions than his town, everything cost more at his town. And the top blah, blah, blah percent were making more than the bottom blah, blah, blah percent. And that's when he started saying that kind of stuff. Okay. And he did it on NPR and PBS, the local public access thing, and the numbers just kept changing. Okay, and then this guy who has ties to Russia before the Cold War supposedly ended, before the Cold War, we were tricked into thinking the Cold War ended. This guy not only has rhetorical ties to the actual tactics of what unfolded afterwards, but then he voted against the Amber Alert system without proposing an alternative bill. And if you're not familiar, if your kid goes up missing, that's an Amber Alert, okay, for people to find your kid. Okay. Now, why would somebody who's related to the empire of child enslavement want to vote against Amber Alerts? I'm not paid by anybody to fucking say this shit. You're being bullshitted. You're being Spamyltoned. Okay? Case in point. When you go and search for Bernie Sanders ties to Russia, connections to Russia, you'll find a National Review story talking about some of the stuff I'm talking about, but not in the very wide context of the fact that the Cold War never ended. The communists came here, the nationals stayed there. Because, well, ultimately, the nationalists here wound up cooperating with the nationalists there, didn't they? And the communists here have been used to subvert the democratic process. Savvy? So you search for this, and you find spam stories. And I found, I clicked on what seemed to be, what could have been the most credible spam story. Okay, that was an article in Bloomberg. I found a few like I News and I'm Your Mama's News and all these different little fucking troll sites. Okay, I don't even fucking bother with those things. Okay, I've been on the internet since there was an internet. I know what not to click. Okay, don't trust those fucking sites at all. All right, The mainstream media, they make the big bucks for a fucking reason, and they take their jobs very seriously. They hold themselves accountable. When they make mistakes, it's because outside forces bullshit them. Like Spamylton. Okay? I'll get on a tangent in my head before I forget what I was talking about. Shit! Oh yeah. So, reading this article on Bloomberg's website, and you'll probably find it if you search. Um, Basically, it was kind of a no, he didn't, followed by a rundown of how the Cold War ended. Okay, starting with perestroika and all that bullshit. Okay, Putin's plan. Okay, if you just analyze exactly how Putin consolidated power. Okay, if your IQ's above 115, Putin's plan centered around perestroika. Putin was in Berlin when it all fucking happened. And then guess where he went? St. Petersburg. And if you're the mayor of St. Petersburg, you are a lot more powerful than a fucking mayor. Okay? All these stories that you read lack a basic understanding of Soviet power structure, lack a basic understanding of Slavic mentality. Okay? So if you sit there and try to dismiss what I'm saying, trust me, 10 years ago, I would have agreed with you. I learned, and you need to learn too, or we are all really fucked. The truth will set you free. This is about salvation. God, who created the cycle of life and death, doesn't want to interrupt it beyond mankind's ability to earn such a privilege. Okay. So as long as the cycle of life and death exists, this is the salvation that you must seek. The salvation for freedom, for truth, for justice, for the preservation of those teachings which you should be calling Christianity. Yeah, I guess that's all I got for now. One more thing. Make that two things, because nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition, which is kind of related to it. So that's kind of like three things. But what is a demon to you? You know when you get past the demons don't exist. What what do you think led people to come up with the word demon in the Western understanding, the Western context? Okay, and let me just tell you what they are and see if it's not too far fetched as far as what exactly it is. And this is another one of the two, three, or four things I want to talk about. What exactly it is that suppresses truth with the assistance of this information unload, overload, Spamylton, whatever you want to call it. Okay, I think Spamylton is just a great metaphorical word for the whole effect of it. Okay, for a lot of reasons. Funny how the metaphysical metaphors have been panning out. Um, oh yeah, when you try to approach truth, and there is a concerted effort to suppress that truth, it can become hard to, and you see it on these CNN people, the different little panels they have. Okay, and you saw it from the very beginning until I started praying and trying to empower those people with some truth. That was happening in real time, by the way, and you might go back and see evidence of this. How in the beginning, these people would go with their information loophole demon arguments, is what I call them. Okay, this information overload Spamylton shit. Okay, until the opposing person just couldn't think of the fucking truth anymore. Okay, and if you watch Bleach, what you're seeing there is tantamount to spiritual pressure. They were being spiritually pressured by the demons of those. I mean, let's face it, they're rhetorical zombies. They have bought so much into the deception that they believe the bullshit coming out of their mouth. Okay? And one thing about zombies is they eat brains, don't they? Oh. And these people are sucking out your fucking brains by this just over and over again. Oh, but no, but this means that and it means this. They'll sit there and contradict themselves in the same fucking sentence, and you're left wondering, well, is he signaling to me that they're not going to be Nazis, or is he signaling to the Nazis that they're going to be Nazis and just trying to cover his ass for? Brain's gone. My brain's gone. Okay? That's demons. That's spiritual pressure. Okay, and getting back to that first point before I got caught off on the third point, or the second point, or, nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition. Okay. If you don't get that joke, go watch some Monty fucking Python, man. Okay. It's fucking great. It's great. That's not Monty Python, but it's still fucking great. Okay. Now I'm getting sidetracked because I love Monty Python so much. What are you gonna do? Always look on the bright side of life. Okay, thinking stick, so I can get back on topic. Brian. I actually had a friend named Brian. Still do. He's reincarnated with the same name now. Just for the fun of it. And he had never seen the movie The Life of Brian until I showed it to him. And he knows who I am. I've made the stars move for him. It's kind of fucking... It's kind of obvious. Well... Is that a constellation following you around? That kind of gives it away. Okay, so back to what I was saying. Thinking stick. The fuck was I saying? So yeah, I was ending the video, then I got back to number 3, and I was going to get back to number 1. Because we're talking about how demons try to suppress thoughts. Oh yes. Lucky for you, I'm kind of an exorcist. Because basically what I've been doing on this channel, okay, I don't know if I've announced it enough times, but the reason why I know the truth is because it's hidden by demons. Okay, and you have to be able to spiritually push through demons just for other people to be able to reveal the truth. That's what I've been doing. Okay. Those times when I look exhausted on camera, That's why I'm exhausted, because it actually takes, a lot of mental, physical energy in order to project that type of spiritual energy, at least as long as reality is the way it is, which is basically bullshit. Um, so, what a demon is, back to number two, okay, is a vibration that is so complex it forms much like an AI computer consciousness, an entity unto itself, a spiritual entity. And those entities are tied back into actual crystalline formations that existed in a preternatural reality and may or may not still exist physically on this plane. I've hidden that information from myself, one of the many treasure hunts I'm on. Um, but essentially, you're talking about a crystalline entity that formed as a result of temporal displacement across resettings of reality. Okay. And while that's a bit deeper than I wanted the explanation to go, what you can understand in this reality is that they're a lot like corals. Okay. Across the entire world, all the corals of one species, no matter how separate they are, will all spawn at the exact same time. All the corals in an area, when affected by an outside force, will have the same reaction to the coral that is actually affected by it. And it's not necessarily spread like you see like a bunch of feather dusters or something all sucking up in a row because they all got disturbed and then they disturbed each other. I'm talking about a vibrationally shared consciousness. The same sort of vibrationally shared consciousness that is the most likely explanation for most psychic abilities, most telepathic or empathic connections. Those times where you were with your best friend or your lover, and you were so drunk that your emotions were in sync and you wound up fucking thinking the same thing and then laughing at it. Okay, those little times are how you understand the Coraline consciousness of demons. And much like computer AIs, what a demon does is basically branch off itself like a coral into the minds of those zombies. Yes. Man, I just say a prayer and the fucking words flow out. I really hate being me. Like I hate having to be this. It just it upsets my stomach. It really does. I'd much rather just like, okay, all the bullshitters line up and let me get my sword. you know, sorry. No, actually, I'd much rather just bullshit wasn't, you know, taking over everybody's fucking mind. And then I could just be worrying about coastal restoration and the fact that you know, if you don't get serious about the environment now, okay, and clean these fucking oceans up, you're all going to die of disease because your immune systems are going to be compromised over the next 5 generations, and you will lose your ability to fight complicated diseases. Okay? I would like to issue that warning to humanity. You don't understand this, but it's true. Oh, for fuck's sake. Yeah. So, also think of a demon this way. The first, I don't want to say person, but I don't want to say God. Okay, the first soul that in the more absolute time frame that exists outside of this little reality that you're all in right now, um, the first person to commit the act of a given either sin or charitable act, okay, good deed, becomes the spiritual harbinger of that act and gains power by promoting that act in others, gains what can be seen as a type of godhood, according to the prideful deities who would have you think as much. Such a deity fooled the Jews a long time ago, and that's when the splitting of the tribes first happened. They were all led away in chains. They got what they wanted. They got to see their master in person. The land of Nod, Cain, murder, deceit. Which was the greater sin? To kill someone and then deceive, or to deceive in order to kill someone? Tactics, isn't it? The first fallen, okay, the first being given free will that chose to fall and then set himself up like the Most High in the land to which he was exiled. That's Cain. That's the land of Nod. And if you ever take a tour of South America, you learn an interesting fact about magnetic north. Is that magnetic north, when you're in South America, it's like that way. Oh yes, I properly reversed it. That way. That way. When you're in South America, south of us here, South America here, the North Pole of magnetic north is actually in the north of Russia. In the north of Krasnoyarsk Krai, the very same cult, well, the very same Canada-sized place where they tell you only 2 million people live, that also happens to be home of the Basarian cult, and right across from Ulaanbaatar, the home of the Mongolian horde, Khazarian horde, whatever you want to call it. Well, I'm sure you want to call it the Mongolian horde, so you can pretend it's gone, but it's not. History all ties back through proper understanding of spiritual knowledge. You cannot escape this and understand the present. I have made certain of that. Sorry? I mean, that's one of the few things I'm not sorry about, actually. I mean, could the line in the sand be any more clear? On one side, you have America, and on the other side, you have bullshit. I don't think it's much of a choice. I like America more than I like bullshit. How about you? If you like America, click the like button. If you like, you know, remember when like Christians used to help people, and then they went from helping people to when was it back when the Cold War ended? They went from helping people to holding up signs yelling at gay people, shit like that. If you like the America that used to help people, if you like when Christians used to help people, and you'd like for what could have happened from the 80s on to actually happen, where the compassionate conservatives actually have a party called Republicans, okay, and the compassionate centrists, the liberals ish, are the Democrats. And we actually know what, Nazis are, and we actually know what socialists are. Okay? If these things sound nice to you, I'd very much like it if you click the thumbs up button. Because I don't even understand how fucking YouTube works anymore. Okay? I see people like CBS News struggling for views. Okay? I see Keith Olbermann with the typical limit of either 120,000 or 65,000, like 121,000 and 65,000 views, 121,000 views. Oh, 256,000 views. Oh, it's funny how that works. And I see CBS News getting sometimes worse views than I do. CCTV, like all these really valuable, credible information sources getting just horrible views. And then ABC News, the fucking Disney just divide and conquer bullshit. I'm going to seem like normal crap, but I'm basically designed to freak old people out about progress. Um, Subtly, while carefully covering my ass. That's ABC News's motto. Carefully cover my ass. ABC News. And then I used to have this steadily growing subscription base. Okay, I've never made it any secret that I supported Obama. Never made it any secret that I was addressing conspiracies from a pro quote establishment standpoint. Okay. But for some reason, right before the election, I get subscriptions dropped. Not only from my channel, but I see other people getting their subscriptions dropped. And then I notice, holy crap, I'm getting subscriptions dropped from like the subscriptions that I'm subscribed to. There are I couldn't see Jeff Dunham anymore because he was doing Donald Trump videos. I couldn't see the redhead guy. What's fucking redhead's guy's name? He's fucking brilliant. I'm sorry I can't remember his fucking name right now. Couldn't fucking see his channels anymore. Okay. And Donald Trump goes on this fucking tirade against the media today. And you want to tell me those protesters are whining about fascism? No, they're not whining. They understand things better than you do. A lot of them just went to college and learned about it. Maybe you've forgotten. I don't know. But we have laws in this country that are set up for a reason. Trump is just walking all over them. Okay. And we have those laws set up to prevent oligarchy, to prevent fascism. And these people that are sitting there saying, no Trump, no KKK, no fascist USA, and this is what democracy looks like. That's because they know what democracy looks like, and they know what fascism looks like, and they see the pattern unfolding. The pattern which our regulations, norms, and standards are specifically designed to prevent, and he's literally intimidating the media because they're mentioning the fact that he's walking all over precedent. He's walking all over the Constitution. Maybe Ted Cruz can take it out of his pocket and fucking, wipe his nose with it. One thing that annoys me about this is that Trump's pandering has made him say a lot of things that I agree with. Okay. And like I said, I'm a conservative. There's a lot of things that conservatives say that I agree with. I think you're going about it like morons. I think you need to study more strategy. Oh yeah, speaking of strategy, tactics, demons. Oh wait, demons prevent you from thinking. Yeah, the God of War would probably be, fairly good at that. Deception, murder, tactics. He is, he are those angels. Okay, an unholy trinity unto himself of sorts. Okay, and as such, these are the things for which the kingdom of the north and its ruler being possessed by him are surprisingly, well, not surprisingly, adept at. I mean, they're the best at it. They're the best at war. They're the best at bullshit. They're the best at semantic tactics. And the whole idea behind the core line spreading of bullshit is if enough polyps open up and spread their spam, it infests your fucking brain. Okay. And getting back to the vibrational quality of it, okay, I'm not talking about some kind of magical fucking thing here. I'm talking about specifically designed thoughts that are designed as waveforms to cancel out other thoughts. Okay? And they bombard you with these loophole waveforms that actually serve to disjoint the logical process in your mind. And that's where that spiritual pressure comes in. It is an electromagnetic, tangible thing that is happening between two human beings based upon the rhetorical programming of one and the other's inability to see the spiritual aspect of it and to be properly prepared to defend themselves against it. And that's what we saw on these CNN panels, where the Democratic representative just and that's why I'm not mad at Donna Brazil. And let's face the facts. If the other side got the questions, would anybody fucking heard about it? Nah. It got leaked because it was the Democrats trying to cheat. That's a fact, Jack. If it's the Democrats cheating, everybody fucking talks about it for weeks and months. Republicans literally cheat so much you can't get 3 hours in. And that's why, as a conservative, as somebody who cares about Christianity and truth, I don't let this rhetorical nonsense about abortion blind me and cause me to be used by the most corrupt, greedy fucks there are. I mean, you got to realize nobody's perfect, okay? But false equivalency is a serious danger. And, on bullshit, partial birth abortions don't fucking exist, okay? And if you overturn Roe versus Wade, you're going to have illegal operations that are going to make a lot of money and endanger the lives of young women. You won't have accomplished anything. You'll also, increase the likelihood of STDs spreading, increase the likelihood of unwanted pregnancies. Okay. And something that fascinates me the most about like people being brainwashed into white supremacy and supporting Republicans and spouting pro-life shit. Let me just put it this way. Last I checked, it wasn't white people who were getting all the damn abortions, was it? So every single one of them are being used. Even the really fucked up asshole Nazi Republicans that are supporting Donald Trump and Republicans in general, even them are being used. Okay? It's hypocrisy from every fucking angle. Okay? And that's so you can't have a reasonable discussion with anyone about it. And like I said, these arguments, these plans, okay, these rhetorical loopholes come from Moscow, whereas the anti-establishment, anti-New World Order, that kind of thing, anti-globalist, because basically the fascist globalism is going to be better. That's St. Petersburg. And if you go way on the other side of the Ural Mountains, you might find what I could never convince you existed until you saw it with your own eyes. But nonetheless, I think you're all starting to feel the fear of it. The truth is all you need to be free of that fear. And guns, big guns, better guns, lots of guns. Sorry, Gaius Baltar moment. Gaius Baltar moment. I would not just. Oh, there's a little panic in me too. Okay, I am human, as human can be. Okay, that's why the baby Jesus is called God Father, human thing, own image. All right. Therefore, you're expecting far too much of demons too. They are essentially old, continuously reincarnated humans that have learned how to bullshit people better than people really understand. Um, and what's fucked up is that, and it's kind of weird for me to say this because it's like I don't want to believe it, but I kind of have to tell you at the same time. Um, According to what I know about magic and Merlin, that's kind of a lot. What it takes to know about manipulating the human psyche that these people know requires access to one's genetic memory or an ability to keep records that I don't think exists. Okay. So the alternative is magic because we're talking about how do you enable someone to remember their past lives. Okay. I remember my past lives because I met my wife from my wife to be from my past lives, who's now finally my bride. Um, barrels of wine. But unfortunately, relating back to the whole child slavery thing and kidnapping thing and the Amber Alert thing, And I'm pretty sure you could verify this if you looked in like occult whatever's Necronomicon type thing. Not that I recommend anybody go and delve into that, and unless you're an exorcist or a Catholic priest or something watching this for research purposes. Um, so don't do it, but if you do it, it's child sacrifice that's required to remember these kind of things. Like, I mean, or maybe they found true love, even though you have to walk a path of humility and, love to find the humility of love. I don't know if it's, well, I mean, define physical harm. But I suppose the energy could be manifested just by the theft of innocence that raising people in horde tribe type upbringing provides. Okay. And I guess that should be the case according to all the energy I'm expending waging war on the astral plane. Um, that they've compensated for this with this method of raising entire communities in seclusion along a certain viewpoint. Okay. In order to basically tap those resources when the time comes. And what you have to understand about the conspiracy that's bringing down the American government right now is that these resources are nearly limitless. The manpower potential is nearly limitless. Every type of person they need, with whatever language, whatever accent, whatever knowledge, whatever political viewpoint they need, it's there. And they've robbed these people of free will. And I'm feeling weird spiritual pressure right now, making me not want to acknowledge it. But God, I really, you ever seen The Warlock? You know how Peter Pan gets to fly? Yeah. You see, it usually takes two souls for the wings to work. Understand? And that's as clear as I'm going to be. Because, yeah, I'm not trying to outright say that. So, probably just because I don't want it to be true. And of course, I have no evidence of it. Obviously, I have no evidence. I'm not over there, am I? It's not exactly something that there's possible to get evidence of, is it? All I'm saying is that I see the ancient knowledge employed in their tactics. And that's the news I have to bear. And then Bernie, who basically used communist socialist rhetoric to invigorate masses of underage children, okay, to amplify his perceived numbers. Literally was trying to get people who weren't old enough to vote until election day to be able to register beforehand. Like, was basically just going for the youngest possible audience, the people who, for instance, hadn't graduated from college yet. Okay, and tapping into not only their naivety in knowledge of how the world works. But that sense of rebellion that we all have when we're that age, fuck the establishment, that kind of thing, okay? And he tapped into that. You don't think he knows that? You don't think he planned that? Then tell me why he was in Russia. Tell me why he voted against the Amber Alerts. Tell me why it's the Young Turks who are named for an Islamic militia who committed the Armenian genocide. Tell me why it's the Young Turks who are helping people get brainwashed for him against Hillary Clinton. Ain't a fucking WikiLeaks thing been released without the Young Turks jumping all over it. But they didn't talk much about Vice News' coverage of the Ukraine invasion. They didn't talk much about how Russian propaganda was permeating Western culture. They didn't learn anything. Or did they take a blind eye to it? I think we've been spammed. Just spam. Information overload. It's how you sell cars, okay? It's how you sell your ideas in general. Pretty sure Trump would have put it in his fucking The Art of the Deal book about the information overload thing. It's probably in there somewhere. I personally think Grant Cardone is a much better sales instructor, but he'll tell you all about information overload too. I never got to really practice information overload, like from an intentional standpoint, which pissed off my sales managers. But I was like an actual Honda enthusiast, and the rest of the Grant Cardone training is just as far as how to create a sense of urgency and all those different little cliche things that they teach you. That was really handy, I think. But what I appreciated about Grant Cardone is that he said, you make sure that you don't fucking lie to those people. Imagine that. Car sales training. And he does real estate. It's like, he has like a real version of Trump University. Grant Cardone. I wish he'd have ran for president. He could have ran as a Republican. Grant Cardone, okay, could have ran as a Republican. And we'd all be in much better shape. A lot less conflicts of interest too. More just like knows the stuff as opposed to, following orders and repeating stuff and taking advantage of lots of foreign investors that kind of just want to see him succeed for some reason. Man. Information overload. You can think about one thing after another that just don't add up. But then you got to think about Spamylton. And I end the video. I can't fucking end the video. Spamylton. Spamylton? Got a nice ring to it, doesn't it? Spamylton. Trying to do that thing where I say a thing and then the video ends because it's gone on for way too fucking long now. Sorry. Apparently, I am not meant to press the button yet, so there must be something else I have to say. I don't know what it is, so I'm going to light another cigarette. Okay. Baby blood. No, I think we already talked about that. Normalization, desensitization, Spamylton. It's been happening from the comedians that have been promoted by, different forms of finance that we've never bothered to look into. Musicians, political groups, newspapers, and especially websites. And while, you may not click on the website, there's going to be people that are friends with you on Facebook who don't actually even exist. And they're going to tell you in your comments. They're going to. I mean, there are people right now on your friends list that aren't the actual friends that you think they are. Did you know that? And they will take a political standpoint. And you'll be like, man, I didn't think that person would buy into that shit. Turns out that's not your fucking friend to begin with. They've literally taken over that person's identity. And a lot of those people are actually stationed overseas, too. That's kind of fucked up. They come back and they find, why has somebody been running my fucking Facebook page? But that's a real small part of what I'm talking about. I mean, go on news media websites from back in the day when people actually went to the websites to get the news, and they had comment sections, right? Trolls, 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 making you think that other Americans think these things, and making other Americans think that you think things that you don't even think. Posing as conservatives, posing as liberals, divide and conquer. Okay. This goes all the way back to on foot infiltrations, village by village, in ancient times. Okay? Word of mouth spamming. Yeah, it used to happen. Now it's just so easy. It's just so easy. You don't need a parade. You just need a post. You know? So, what is this hair doing back here? Like one little strand of hair just trying to get away. Ah! And on that bombshell, it's probably time to feed the fucking fish or something. So I'm just going to end the video. Um, this can't happen. I sometimes wonder if they're just trying to like get Donald Trump in his tower so they can just set him up, and make it just on the record all the different fucking ways he is just beyond comprehensibly corrupt. Okay? Because they're kind of doing that right now. You realize that. I mean, that's kind of happening, whether or not it's a plan. But that's on the assumption that we still have some sort of non corrupted national security establishment. I think, if anything, if you want something to pray for, to pray for the clarity of thought of our real national security professionals so they can keep us safe from fascism. And like I said in the previous video, there's still time for the whole electoral college thing in a lot of different ways. In a lot of different ways, this electoral thing can happen. And just because it didn't happen before doesn't mean it can't happen now. Donald Trump never happened before, did he? So it's really like, do we just not do something that we're allowed to do, or do we let, fascism take over? The choice is yours.